Penguin is actually really fucking good. Color me shocked. So I wasn't even really gonna watch this. I mean, I was gonna watch it, but like not right away. Not that I wasn't interested, just that, you know, there's a lot of stuff to catch up on, and if I'm not getting paid to keep 100% on top of something right away, it can go into the backlog, gather up a few episodes, especially when it's a TV show, so you know they're not gonna like be about anything for a while, especially with the way streaming works now, where basically everything has what, I guess because of a tweet somebody made, now has what people call a Surf Dracula problem, where no show gets to become its premise until the last episode, instead of like knocking out the premise in the theme song and just being the show every week back when television was fucking television. You know, but then work said, actually, we want you to watch The Penguin every week, so in case something comes up that needs to be written about, you can actually write about it. And I was like, okay, if there's a chance I'm going to get paid, then fuck yeah, I'll watch The Penguin. And obviously, I like Collin Farrell. I like the premise of this. There's good people involved in making of this, so sure, all right, I'll give this a look. And holy shit, this is actually really good. This is better than The Batman, which I really didn't love when I first watched it, and I care less for on each successive viewing, which is not to say it's bad. It's just kind of dull to me. Sorry. Like, I know I'm supposed to pretend to like it because at least it's not a Marvel thing. And yes, it's better than any of the DCEU stuff, but so is a fucking hemorrhoid operation. Doesn't mean I'm gonna sit down and watch a hopelessly boring thing that I've seen a million versions of just because they turned the red balance button up. Sorry, I like Matt Reeves, I like Robert Pattinson, I like literally everything else that they've done, Twilight excluded, obviously, better than this. And again, not that it's even that bad, it's just stuff that I've seen, and not a particularly new or interesting version of it. I am old enough to have been a teenager in the 90s when, dude, Batman should just be 7, but with Batman would have sounded like a cool thing to me when I was a stupid teenager, and now that I'm a less stupid adult, I can actually see that movie and recognize, no, actually that's not a good idea. Even the best possible version of it turns out to be a very boring version of that. So, like, color me not surprised that every time Matt Reeves says, no, we've got to delay the next movie, it's not quite there yet, and it doesn't seem like Warner Brothers is particularly put out that he's taken all the time he needs on this, because they clearly know that whatever James Gunn's people come up with for the DC Universe version of Batman is gonna be the real thing. But yeah, I'm not shocked. This came out because they'd already made it and put it into production. That Arkham show isn't happening. The Gotham PD show isn't happening. The Jim Gordon show, if that was going to be a different thing than Gotham PD, who even knows, not happening. So this is very much more of like a Superman and Lois scenario where the Arrowverse stuff was already over, but they'd already made a show, so fuck it, might as well release it. This is a fuck it, we might as well release this show. But holy shit, color me shocked. Like, legitimately shocked, because again, it's not that I thought it would be bad, I just kind of thought it would be, what's even the point to this, no matter how good it is? And actually, the point is, it doesn't need a point, it's just good. It's actually better than the Batman is. It's doing what that did in a better version. Not only that, it's doing what the shitty Todd Phillips Joker movie claimed to be trying to do, in terms of, hey, let's take pieces of Batman stuff and use them as an excuse to do a quote-unquote real thing, and doing that. Except in this case, do a real thing turns out to be make a good mob show instead of make trite generic references to a Scorsese movie. And yeah, the premise here is it's a grimy New Jersey mob show about the rise of a low-level gangster to what I guess he aspires to be a higher-level gangster, but instead of actual New Jersey, it's the version of Gotham City that is basically Jersey, and the various characters are named after guys from Batman comics. And yeah, you know, it actually works. Like, I found all of the pre-release hype about how we changed the names of the character from Oswald Cobblepot to Oz because that sounds more realistic to this or that isn't really as tiresome and groan-inducing as everyone else. This version that they've done of the guy as a low-level gangster who aspires to and costumes himself as a higher level old-fashioned gangster, is actually, sans the top hat business and whatnot, whatever, it's set in modern times, much closer to like the golden age version of the Penguin, where he was a street criminal who dressed like an aristocrat, than most other modern interpretations, which is interesting. You know, like he's Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas, but he thinks he's, or wants people to think he's Tom Hagen from The Godfather, is basically a Jersey version of the Penguin. It works. This is a cool interpretation. Farrell is fantastic, the characters are interesting, the setup is cool, I like all of the characters. I'm actually genuinely shocked at how good this is, and it basically comes down to skill issue. Whatever the origins of this, however sick I am of realistic Batman and the jerking itself off that it does about how realistic it is, here they've taken those component parts and done a good thing with it. I don't care about what it means for DC Universe stuff. I don't give a shit about what it means for Warner Brothers' bottom line, because I'm not invested in it in that way. I'm not part of their business model. This is a good show made by good actors doing a good job. The fact that they've turned Batman stuff into it is an interesting little layer of garnish on top of that, and it works. I'm interested in seeing where it goes. The characters are compelling. Again, Farrell is great. And yeah, I'd say lesson learned on judging book by its cover, but they basically marketed it as, look at this thing that we did with the Penguin, in order to get people to watch, and it would still be good, maybe even more so. They didn't have all of these Batman references, but then maybe without that they wouldn't have made it. They've basically made a sequel to the Batman that is 100% better than the Batman was. I honestly hope Batman doesn't show up in the show, because this version of the Penguin is much more interesting than Pattinson's version of the Batman is, and I'd rather just keep following this guy than be reminded he's attached to a movie that wasn't particularly good. So yeah, the Penguin, check it out. I'm glad someone made me.